So Apple is quietly doing something nobody in the tech space is talking about clearly enough. And once you understand what's happening, it actually changes how you should think about buying an iPhone in 2026, the in 26. Here's the situation. A leaker just dropped fresh details claiming Apple is planning to downgrade the standard iPhone 18 in two specific ways, and the decision is described as a cost-cutting measure. Display specs, chip specs, both going backwards. Meanwhile, the iPhone 18 Pro Max, it's getting some of the most meaningful hardware upgrades Apple has ever put in a phone. Same company, same year, two completely different directions, and that gap, that's the story. Because if you're spending money on an iPhone in 2026, which side of that gap you land on matters a lot. Stick around because there's one upgrade on the Pro Max that I genuinely think changes how you use your phone every single day. I mean, and it's not the chip. The iPhone 18 Pro and Pro Max are confirmed for September 2026. There's no standard iPhone 18 coming in the fall, and that's been pushed to spring 2027 alongside the iPhone 18e. So what we're actually getting in September is three phones: the iPhone 18 Pro, the iPhone 18 Pro Max, and Apple's first ever foldable iPhone. That's it. No budget option, no middle ground, which means Apple's fall lineup is essentially saying, if you want a new iPhone this year, you're paying Pro money, and the Pro Max better be worth it. Let's find out if it is. The iPhone 18 Pro Max is getting the A20 Pro chip, codenamed Borneo Ultra, built on TSMC's 2 nanometer process. Now, every year someone says new chip, faster performance, and every year most people don't feel it. But 2 nanometers is different, and here's why it actually matters. Early leaks suggest the A20 Pro could deliver performance improvements of up to 15% and enhance power efficiency by 30% compared to its predecessor. 30% better efficiency. That's not a number to gloss over. Because what that means in real life is your phone running cooler, lasting longer, and handling heavy AI tasks without your battery dropping while you watch it. The performance bump is nice. The efficiency gain is the actual upgrade. And here's something every other breakdown is missing. The reason Apple is pushing so hard on efficiency right now isn't just battery life. It's because Apple Intelligence, their AI system, is starting to run more and more on device. The heavier AI gets, the more your chip needs to be efficient, not just fast. The A20 Pro is being built for that future, not just for the benchmark. Okay, here's the one I teased at the top. Reliable Apple analyst Ming-Chi Kuo says the main rear camera will feature a variable aperture for the first time ever on an iPhone, specifically on the 48 megapixel wide lens. Variable aperture. What does that mean? The aperture will dynamically adjust its opening diameter to control how much light enters the sensor, enabling more granular control over exposure and depth of field effects. In plain English, your phone gets to decide how blurry the background looks, how much light it lets in, and how sharp the foreground is, mechanically, not just through software tricks. This is how real cameras work. This is what you've been paying a photographer to do. Every portrait mode iPhone has ever had was software pretending to do what this hardware will actually do. That's not an upgrade, that's a category change. On top of that, a leaker suggests the iPhone 18 Pro series will also feature a larger sensor for the main camera. A bigger sensor catches more light, period. Combine that with variable aperture and you're looking at low light photography that might genuinely embarrass the dedicated cameras under $1,000. I'll say this plainly: if you're someone who takes photos, not just snapshots but actual photos, this is the upgrade you've been waiting for since the iPhone 10. The iPhone 18 Pro Max is expected to pack a battery between 5,100 and 5,200 milliamp hours, making it Apple's largest battery ever. Now, on paper, that's not a massive jump in raw capacity, but pair a bigger battery with that 30% more efficient chip, and suddenly the numbers get interesting. The iPhone 18 Pro Max pairs its bigger cell with the 820 Pro chip on TSMC's 2 nanometer process and Apple's first in house C25G modem. Leaks claim this combination could deliver over 40 hours of mixed use battery life, but potentially 1.5 to 2 full days of heavy usage, 2 days on a phone without charging. That'd be genuinely new territory for Apple. Now, I'm not going to promise you 40 hours because that number will depend heavily on what you do with the phone. But what I will say is Apple's efficiency advantage over Android has been real for 2 years running. In 2025 tests, the iPhone 17 Pro Max already topped many battery rankings despite similar or smaller capacity than Android rivals. The 2026 upgrade could widen that gap. Add the C2 modem, which uses less power than the Qualcomm chip it replaces, and the math starts making sense. This one flew under the radar in most coverage. Apple's C2 modem could add support for 5G satellite connectivity using the NR-NTN standard, which covers the direct phone to satellite links and could allow full internet access over satellite, supplementing 5G networks when standard networks are unavailable. Apple is reportedly planning to allow third-party apps to access a satellite connection, plus Apple Maps and the Photos app could work over satellite. Think about what that actually means. Not just call for help if you fall off a cliff. We're talking about your Instagram loading at a campsite in the middle of nowhere, your maps working in a dead zone, your iMessages delivering from inside a building with 0 bars. As of April 2026, Apple is teaming up with Amazon to provide this service after Amazon announced it acquired Globalstar, the provider of iPhone satellite connectivity. So now iPhones will fall under Amazon's Leo satellite internet network. I'll be honest, the Amazon partnership is the part that makes this credible. Globalstar's network was fine for emergencies. Amazon's Leo constellation is built for actual data. That's a fundamentally different capability. This might not matter to you today, but in 5 years, does your phone have satellite internet will be a real question, and iPhone 18 Pro Max owners will have gotten there first. Here's where I give you the honest version instead of just hype. The iPhone 18 Pro Max could be slightly thicker, measuring 8.8 millimeters up from 8.7, and is expected to push over 240 grams compared to the iPhone 17 Pro Max's 233 grams. That's barely measurable. Don't care. The Pro models may not have the two-tone look of the iPhone 17 Pro models. Apple has reportedly updated the back glass to minimize the color difference between the glass and the aluminum frame for a more unified appearance. Multiple rumors suggest Apple is testing a deep red finish, more of a dark cherry color with a tinge of purple, alongside light blue, dark gray, and silver. Dark cherry with a purple tinge in 2026. Look, if that's not the color that sells the most units, I don't know what will. Now, the dynamic island. Most reliable sources say it's getting smaller with some Face ID components moving under the display, but the camera is likely staying in a smaller central pill position, not the full under-display camera some rumors promised. Slight evolution, not revolution on the front, and that's fine. The front of this phone doesn't need to be the headline. The camera, the chip, and the battery already are. So here's the take. The iPhone 18 Pro Max is shaping up to be a genuinely substantial upgrade, not in a faster processor, same phone way, but the camera works differently. The battery lasts longer, and you can now get internet from Spaceway. But here's the thing nobody's saying out loud. Apple is apparently making changes across manufacturing processes, chips, memory, and other components for the standard iPhone 18, and reports suggest the standard iPhone 18 could end up sharing more similarities with the iPhone 18e than in previous years, potentially creating a bigger gap between Apple's regular lineup and its more premium Pro models. That gap is intentional. Apple is pushing people toward the Pro. And honestly, with what's coming in the Pro Max, variable aperture, a 20 Pro efficiency, satellite internet, and a battery that might last 2 days, it's hard to argue they're wrong. One leaker even claims it's highly probable Apple will tweak the name of the iPhone 18's A series chip to disguise the extent of the downgrade, and has since doubled down, saying the downgrade in the standard iPhone 18 model's specifications has now been confirmed. Let that sink in. Apple might rename the chip so you don't realize you're getting less. If you're on an iPhone 15 or earlier, yes, upgrade to the Pro Max in September. Don't wait for the standard model. You'll wait until 2027 and get less phone for your money. If you're on a 16 Pro Max, honestly, the variable aperture camera alone might get you. That's how good it sounds. And if you're on a 17 Pro Max, I'd wait to see real world testing. The spec sheet looks compelling, but over 40 hours battery life and variable apertures still need to be proven on an actual device. One thing I keep thinking about, Apple just turned the standard iPhone into the budget iPhone without admitting it. They changed what the word iPhone means. Quietly, in a press release, nobody read. That's either genius or the kind of thing that ages very badly. I'm curious where you land on that. Let me know in the comments. Are you buying the Pro Max in September waiting for the standard? Or is 2026 the year you finally try Android? Because based on what's leaked, that's a more interesting question than it's been in years. Catch you next one. Peace.